meeting. And for those who are on the webinar right now, it is recommended that you are dialing in through your computer audio for the best sound quality. Under the audio tab, please select use computer for audio. And we will be starting off at 3:05. Just one more minute for those who are trying to join us today. And for those of you who have been waiting for the last few minutes, thank you very much for your patience. Okay, looking at the time right now, it's 3:05. We will start it off. So once again, very, very good afternoon to those of you who have joined us today. I'm Lena, and I'm back as your host for today's webinar. So on behalf of mcGrwhill, I would like to thank you for joining us in this webinar series that we have started as due to COVID, and it has been ongoing since 8th of April. For those who has been with us for the last few sessions, thank you, and we hope that all these sessions for the last few weeks has given you a lot of wonderful insights. In this series, we actually partners with industry experts to share insights and experience on online learning. And in our series today, we will cover on facilitating flipped classroom and team-based learning with learning technology by Ms. Michelle Pang. So before we kickstart the webinar, I just like to cover a couple of housekeeping rules again. Just bear with me as I run through this housekeeping. So today's webinar is being recorded. A copy of recording will be shared to you via emails after the webinar, or you can take a look at mcGrwhill website, and we'll share the link at the end of the session later. In this webinar, you will be put on mute. And if you like to view the presentation in full mode, please click on View on the menu bar on the top and select Full Screen. As per the rest of the webinars that we are doing, there is a Q&A sessions at the end of the presentation. Please use the Q&A dialog box below to type and submit your questions, and that's where we will be posting these questions to our speaker of the day, Michelle. Do not type your questions in the chat box. This is basically used by, for example, myself as your host to give you some announcement or to share some quick updates to you. So, general reminder, post your questions in the Q&A. And we would like to conduct a quick poll at the end of the sessions for your feedback. So the poll will actually happen automatically once we kickstart. So we just hope that as much as you can take 1 minute of your time to view the questions and submit your answers. So without much ado, I would like to introduce my colleague, Jasmine, who is my partner in crime, to do a very quick introductions on today's webinar and on our speaker, Michelle. So over to you, Jasmine. Jasmine?
Test one, testing.
Yes, we hear you good now. You're back. Thank you.
Okay, sorry for that mute. Very warm welcome to mcGrwhill Asia webinar. Very good afternoon to everyone online. This is Jasmine from mcGrwhill Asia. I'm based at Singapore, and I'm streaming in from Singapore as well. So COVID-19 has indeed brought an unprecedented change to our country, to our economy, and to higher education. But is it all bad? I would like to think we can make the best of the situation and overcome the challenges with a positive mindset. For example, this has led us at mcGrwhill to venture into something that we usually will not do. We have reacted to the situation, decided to organize and deliver this webinar series to benefit as many educators as possible across the region. And doing so, we decided to focus on helping you transit to a full online learning, not just stretching the surface of a topic, not about talking about trends, but very focused on sharing with you best practices and very focused on inviting some of the best educator that we can find around the region. And more importantly, these are practitioners who can share with you very practical ideas or lesson examples based on very sound underlying principle, based on research and proven tested approach. So we hope you will be able to walk away with tools, with ideas to engage your students and bring your lessons to life, especially in the coming fall, where your schools are going to be reopened. So I'd like to move on next to introduce our today's speaker. In today's webinar, we managed to invite Dr. Michelle Pang to speak. Dr. Michelle Pang is a senior lecturer in accounting at Nanyang Business School, Nanyang Technological University. She has more than 20 years of teaching experience in the undergraduate and postgraduate program in Singapore, Australia, and Malaysia. Over her academic career, Dr. Pang has won numerous teaching awards, including Favorite Teacher of the Year in 2004, Excellent in Teaching in 2011. And this year, she was nominated by Nanyang Business School for both Teacher of the Year Award as well as the Teaching Excellent Award. So today, Dr. Pang will share her real-life experience on implementing flipped learning as well as team-based learning. She will highlight how she successfully integrates learning technology into the flipped classroom to facilitate students' learning, and she will also explain the effect of flipped learning on course evaluation. So without further ado, I'd like to hand over to Dr. Michelle Pang. Yes. Michelle, you're good?
Yes, I am. Thank you.
All right. So,
so you can see my slide now?
Yes, I can see your slide. You're all good?
Okay, good.
Thank you.
Thank you, Jasmine, for the introduction. Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Michelle from Nanyang Business School, Nanyang Technological University, Singapore. Thank you for taking the time to join today's webinar. I'm going to share with you facilitating flipped classroom and team-based learning with learning technology. I will first explain the importance of flipped classroom and team-based learning in education today, and then I will share with you my personal journey on implementing flipped classroom, how I use learning technology in my class to facilitate student learning, and some of the challenges that I faced along the way. I will also share the effect of this adventure on my course evaluation, which probably is the focal point or main concern for many of us here, right? Students today are vastly different from when we were in their shoes. Most of us were brought up on the age-old tradition of lecture, homework, and then exam. Now, don't get me wrong, students today were brought up in the same style, but something is different, something just isn't working anymore. Now, think about it. When you need to learn how to do something, for example, bake a cake, buy a laptop, set up network connection, what do? You Google it, you YouTube it, you even post questions on a forum. Now, why do you do this? Because you know this is the best way to learn in your own style, at your own pace. Self-directed learning is the new learning. In a traditional classroom, students listen to lecture and take notes in class. There is minimal interaction between teachers and students. Students learn within the confines of classroom and class schedule, and there is minimal access to support after class. For the most part, students learn through memorization and recitation. So as a result, they are not developing their analytical, critical thinking, and problem-solving or decision-making skills. Every day, teachers around the world deliver lessons in class to students. And then every night, students sit over homework at home trying to figure out how to solve it. In the traditional teacher-centered model, the teacher is the primary source of information. A flipped classroom, on the other hand, deliberately shift to learner center. focuses on students' engagement and active learning. In a flipped classroom, teachers are facilitators. They guide on the side instead of instructing from the front. Class time is dedicated to exploring topics in greater depth and working on group work and projects. It provides teachers a better opportunity to deal with students with different learning styles and abilities, and allows students to have access to immediate feedback from peers and teachers. Now, the immediate feedback helps students to recognize and think about their own understanding and gaps in learning, and gives them the opportunity to learn to correct misconceptions and reorganize their knowledge. Students gain first exposure to the learning materials prior to class, for example, textbook reading, PowerPoint presentation, and with voice-over or video. Class time is structured around conceptual application, focused on processing the learning material. Students learn by analyzing, synthesizing, discussing application problems or cases, and doing practical work in a small group. The first thing most educators are going to ask is, why flip? Now, to me, flip means flexible, lively, independent, and personalized learning. With a flipped classroom, the content becomes available to students beyond typical classroom time. One of the main benefits that comes with viewing content in video is the ability to stop, play, and replay. So students are now able to access the content anytime, anywhere, and they can learn at their own pace. Students can write down questions about the content at home. Then, when students come to class, they are ready and prepared to ask questions and engage in discussion. So over time, students learn to be independent learners and able to participate constructively during class discussion. Ultimately, flipping a class frees up time for teachers to walk around the classroom, to work with students individually or as a small group. Now, some may disagree, but I believe team-based learning is essential in flipped classroom. The use of team-based learning in flipped classroom increases the opportunity for frequent and immediate feedback and reflections among peers. Students in small groups are required to work collectively. It encourages students to review and discuss the learning materials within a small group, evaluate their own understandings, and then converge their diverse thinking in making a single collective decision in application questions. Now, this structure requires students to articulate their thinking first within a small group, then give them an opportunity to evaluate their own reasoning when confronted with different decisions that other groups may make. And they learn to defend their decisions as a group. Now, how do we flip a class? Here are some pointers to consider. It is very important to get your boss and your teaching team on board. If you decide to go for it, you need to stick it out. It is going to be a challenging journey, but the benefits are far greater than the outcry you definitely will hear, not only from students, but also from your colleagues. Curate the resources that you need, for example, online videos and other learning materials, in-class activities such as quizzes and case questions. Take time and effort to explore and learn the technology to support your flipped classroom. It doesn't have to be something complicated. After all, technology is supposed to enable us, not to enslave us. It is very important to hold your students accountable for their own learning prior to coming to class. There are a few ways to do this, so you need to figure out the one that you are most comfortable with. For example, you can run a quiz at the beginning of class, or even ask students for keywords or phrases from the topic. It is not foolproof, but this puts the responsibility on students, and over time, they become much more independent learners. Managing a flipped classroom is just the same as a traditional classroom. Some students may not be familiar with flipped classroom and may not know what to expect or what is expected of them. So be sure to spend time to discuss your expectation with students at the start of a new semester. The main goal in flipping a class is to cultivate more deeply engaged learning experience for students. So do remember to emphasize on collaborative learning and discussion. Encourage students who master the content to help students who are lagging behind. Emphasize on analytical and critical thinking skill in problem solving and decision making. Get your students to work on the applications of skill in class, and you can walk around the classroom to facilitate and help students as needed. There are many flipped classroom learning technology out there, everything from interactive lesson apps and instructional videos to whiteboard apps to help teachers to create and deliver content to students. This is a collection of some useful apps and webs by Educators Technology, one of my favorite websites, especially for teachers. So you are probably familiar with some of them, but seriously, it is impossible to keep track and master all these tools that are out there. Not to forget, there are hundreds of thousands of educational websites in existence. There is simply no way we can learn all of them. Keep in mind, simply adding technology to a class does not improve teaching or learning. What matters is how technology is used to help students to develop knowledge and critical thinking for the future. Technology should be a strategic educational tool that complements our teaching style, not a burden for teachers. And that means we don't have to feel pressure to try to learn and be proficient in all technology and know the latest about every type of tool out there. It is not going to happen, and it doesn't need to. So as I have mentioned previously, whatever technology we use doesn't have to be something complicated. It is important to appropriately select and connect the technology with the content, methods of instruction and assessment, learning outcomes, and student needs and abilities. Here are some of the benefits of using learning technology in a flipped classroom. Learning technology helps to reduce time spent on administrative tasks, especially on grading. It allows teachers to focus more on lesson planning and to ensure students achieve the learning outcomes with active learning activities during class time. Now, some teachers believe that learning is largely the responsibility of the student and approach teaching as a responsibility to cover content in a systematic way. I personally believe a teacher's primary responsibility is to cause students to want to learn. We can make use of technology to foster engagement during class time and to promote interactions among students and between teachers and students. As teachers, we must be willing to adapt and to engage our students, which means we need to look at our lesson with a fresh pair of eyes and bring new ideas to all lessons. Now I'm going to share with you how we implemented flipped classroom and team-based learning for AD 2101 Management Accounting at Nanyang Business School and the type of learning technology that we use in class. We started this course in August 2015. Now this course is designed for non-accounting students, including business students and students from other disciplines such as engineering and computing with a minor in business. When we first started planning and developing the course, one of the main challenges that we faced was how to make this course interesting to students who have a preconceived, mistaken notion that accounting is boring. In particular, majority of the students are from marketing major, and they tend to presume that accounting is difficult and that they are not good with numbers. Many students feel a sense of panic when they first started attending this course. In less than 10 minutes, they stop paying attention due to lack of motivation or interest in accounting. Whenever we get a chance to interact with students, we hear a familiar statement. I'm not actually sure why I need to learn management accounting or what costing information I need in my future career. I just know I'm not getting it. So evidently, students do not have experience as users of accounting or costing information. There is a disconnect between classroom and the practical field of business operation when it comes to applying management accounting concepts and using costing information for business planning and decisions. One way to overcome students' lack of knowledge and experience in the practical field is to use a class activity to provide a common framework to teach new concepts. There are different methods of providing a common experience. For example, video from practice, business cases, and simulation games. But the end goal is to have something students can easily understand. So after a year plus of pilot experiment in a few groups, we finally flipped the course 100%. Before class, we need to expose students to the basic concept and technical knowledge. So normally we assign readings from textbook chapters and use instructional videos as well as videos from practice to give an introduction to a topic and help students to understand some technical concept relating to that topic. Students are required to complete a set of questions online before attending a class. These questions are fundamental theoretical questions to make sure students understand the basic concept relating to the topic. During seminar, typically we start with a brief topic review and discussion on the topic to clarify concepts and theories, and then we will assign a case or a problem, and students will work on the case together in a small group. So before the end of the class, a group will present their suggested solution. We normally spend about 45 to 50 minutes for topic review. There's no lecture or even mini lecture in this course. During topic review, we focus on building students' fundamental technical knowledge relating to the topic and clarifying misinformation or fuzzy concepts. I usually start the topic review with questions relating to the overall theme of the topic. For example, on the very first topic of management accounting, Introduction to Management Accounting, I will first ask the question, why does managerial accounting matter to a company to get the discussion going? Now, this will lead to a more specific question later, such as a business student, why managerial accounting is important to your future career. Now, this discussion not only prompts students to think critically and relate to the learning material, but also provide me with instant feedback about students' critical thinking skill and their appreciation of technical knowledge and concepts. Sometimes, either before or after the topic review, I use online quiz to test student understanding. They compete in the online quiz as a group. It is not a formal assessment, but I do record the results of the competition and give recognition to the winning group at the end of the semester. After the topic review, I would then assign a case or problem in class for small group discussion. The case is not long, maybe just 2 to 3 or 4 pages. Most of the time, I pick cases from textbook. With team-based learning, students are expected to first attempt the case question individually. They then have to discuss and complete the case question with their group members. Now, while the groups are discussing the case and working on the case question, I walk around the classroom to observe each group discussion and guide students to work on the case questions. I don't offer solutions to students. When students ask a question, I ask them more questions to direct them to answer their own question or correct their own mistake. Now, some students may be shy or terrified of being singled out in front of the whole class. So this team-based learning allows students to learn to articulate their view and raise questions within the small group. So over time, students develop a sense of belongingness to the group, and students will be motivated to learn and engage more proactively when they feel at ease in the classroom. So by this time, they learn to even debate with one another before forming a collective decision as a group. So now you face another problem. You can't stop them from talking. The last 45 to 60 minutes, a group will present the case solution to the whole class. It is crucial not to focus on whether the case solution presented by the group are correct or wrong. Now, instead, emphasize on learning outcomes and identify gaps in learning. This gives further insight into which concepts students are struggling with the topic. I would then highlight and clarify issues relating to the case, and this allows students to ask even more specific questions about the application of concepts relating to the case. Now, the case not only encourages students to think actively and critically about the learning material, but also encourage them to relate it personally and practically to their own work and disciplines. After class, students are required to work on more questions online to gain further insight about a topic. The self-practice questions are more difficult or challenging questions than those questions that students attempted before the class. In addition, we have a group project which requires students to apply and integrate concepts and theories that they have acquired during the course into a real-world setting. Before the semester ends, students are required to present their group project in class. Last semester project requires students to start a new business and prepare a business plan to solicit funding from potential investors. Besides providing students with a hands-on opportunity to explore and understand the financial risks in running a business, the project encouraged them to reflect and connect what they have learned from various courses. In the business plan, students apply what they have learned in financial accounting to prepare a 3-year financial plan for the new business. And then they use marketing concepts and theories to perform the industry and competitive analysis. And they have to integrate what they have learned in management accounting to formulate a strategic plan to launch the new business. So project not only helps students to make connection between what they learn in classroom to the real world, but also make students to be intellectually independent in facing actual business challenges and decisions under risk and uncertainty. Now, obviously, at the end of the day, what we as educators concern the most is it working? A year after we flipped the class, we conducted a survey to find out how students feel about the course. Now, as you can see, the results were encouraging, very encouraging. In particular, 88% say the online videos reinforce key concepts learned. The results here were exactly what we wanted to achieve, inculcating a culture of proactive learning and help students to be independent learners. 84% say they develop habit in consistency in learning, and 90% say that the online learning activities enhance independent learning beyond classroom. Again, the results were consistently positive, with 90% and 88% respectively found online homework and self-practice questions to be helpful in their learning experience. The most encouraging is this: 82% found the course has taught them a great deal about the use of accounting information for decisions in the real world. Now, that was the survey back in 2017. You may say that that's a bit outdated, so let me show you some recent feedback from students. I just extracted this from our university system. It gives us a general idea how students feel about the course. The mean teaching index for this course in last semester is above 96%, while the mean teaching index for Nanyang Business School as a whole is about 89%. Here are some of the comments that we received. Students appreciated the small group discussion and how the course helped them to think beyond concepts taught in classroom. Again, students highlighted how they can understand the subject matter better through participation, discussion, and clarification during seminar. They also like the fact that we stretch their thinking beyond the textbook to real-world application. This is an email from a student who highlighted the class was practical and enjoyable. And again, students think the class was fun and interactive. Now, one of the main barriers for flipping is teachers are overly concerned about the impact on their own teaching evaluations. I hope our course evaluation gives you some assurance that flipping is not just a trend. This pedagogical approach not only optimizing learning and teaching by focusing on higher form of cognitive work, but also make learning and teaching fun for both students and teachers. If you are currently at a crossroad of flipping your class, I hope this presentation has motivated you to continue your flipping journey to turn your world upside down. Thank you everyone for joining us today.
Hello, Michelle.
Hi.
Thank you for this presentation. Yes, thank you so much. Yes, it's been wonderful. Thank you for sharing generously on your approach and your lesson delivery. I think this has benefited a lot online. Yeah, I think one of the burning questions that I have, I think, align with some of the questions that's coming in. I'm going to read out. This one is from me first. Typically, I think we're wondering, what's your plan if we're going to conduct this in an online format? Can you briefly share? Yeah.
Oh, actually, we are going, or we are planning to have online teaching for the upcoming semester in August.
Okay.
Even though we are now in phase 2, but we are not quite sure. I don't think that we will be back to the normal, like before. So the plan is that we are going to run the course online. And to me personally, I don't feel or I don't see that a virtual classroom is any different than a physical classroom. Basically, you are just moving your physical classroom to a virtual room. So the virtual room is still a classroom, right? Yeah, so we are going to use Zoom to run our online course. And in Zoom, one of the features that I like the most is that they have the breakout room. So similar to a physical classroom where I have my students sitting in groups of 4 or 5, in a breakout room on Zoom, we can do the same thing. So we can assign 4 to 5 students in a breakout room. And for me as an instructor, I can still move around from one breakout room to another breakout room to observe the students and to also participate in their discussions.
Yes, but definitely, I think finding the right virtual environment allows you to emulate what you have been doing face to face is definitely. So let me now switch to the questions coming in from the attendee. So you can actually pop up your Q&A section along with me. Let's look at the first tab, the prioritized one. So I got the one of the first question, I think, is from Perlin Sim, You can see that. So she asked, can ask whether flipped classroom can be effective in the online environment. I think quite similar. Which tool is most effective? Is it better to use flipped classroom, record lectures for students to watch and listen on their own, and use online sessions for activity? So yeah, that's the first question. If you click on the prioritize tab, can you see that?
I'm still trying to figure out where
Okay,
it is
okay. No
actually.
worry. That's how you, if you tap on you click on the three little dots, you can see the Q&A, and you can click on the Q&A. It will pop up this panel. You can see about all the questions that's coming in, but that's the second tab, prioritize.
Mm,
Can you see that?
well, it's okay. I think I can still. I'm. Hang on.
If no worry,
I mean,
I'll
as
give you.
I have mentioned to you before, my laptop, the screen is too small, like.
No,
And
no worry.
I'm having problem looking at the questions.
No worry. I read it aloud one more
I
time.
can answer the questions.
So no worry. You give it a try.
Yeah, I don't think there's one best tool, so to speak. It is actually very important to choose the tools that you are most comfortable with, whether you want to use MS Teams, or you want to use Zoom, or you want to use some other kind of online platform. You must make sure that you are comfortable with the technology. And as I have mentioned before, the technology that you choose, right, it doesn't have to be something that is very complicated or sophisticated, It should be something that you facilitate your online session. It's not supposed to be a burden for you as a teacher, right? So I would still suggest that let students, it's up to you whether you want to assign textbook reading or you want to have recorded lecture or some kind of videos. I use combination. So in our course outline, we will tell the students that, okay, for topic 1, these are the chapters from the textbook, and this is the video online. And it's up to the student to choose whichever one that they prefer, because I don't think you can force students to use one method. Some students prefer to read textbook. Some students like to watch the video. Every individual is different, and students do have different learning styles. For example, I personally like to read textbook. I'm not really a video person. So if I don't like to watch video, I prefer to read textbook, then I shouldn't be forcing my student to do that, isn't it, right? So normally we give options. We have a few things online. We tell them that, okay, you can read textbook chapter 1 and 2, or you can watch this video 1, or you can, do some kind of smart book learning. So we give those information to the students, and the students are free to choose whichever one that they want to use. So the online time during the seminar, we focus on activities, discussions. Some may find that, students are not asking questions. They are very quiet in class. They are not engaging or not participating, in the class discussion. So as an instructor, then you will have to find a way to bring out something that the students are interested in, something that they want to learn. Now, I'll give you an example. Now, in my class, Management Accounting, we have a topic about cost allocation. How do we allocate the cost to different departments or different product lines, okay? So a lot of our students, they do not have practical field experience, and so if you actually go directly into the topic about how the cost is supposed to be allocated according to the textbook, a lot of them will be lost and they couldn't understand. And then they will kind of like shut down immediately. So what you need to do is actually give an example about something that, relating to their real life. For example, when I talk about cost allocation, I will first ask the students. I will first ask them, like I will pick on a student and I will ask that student, okay, how many people in your family? And the student will say, oh, I have 5 persons in my family, 3 children and then parents, right? And then I will start asking the students, so if your mom is going to cook a fish tonight, so your mom paid $10, bought this piece of salmon, So I say, if your mom is going to charge each one of you for the food or for the dinner tonight, I say, how much is your mom supposed to charge you? And the student will start thinking. Then they will actually think about, okay, it depends on how much I eat. So then I will ask them the next question. So do you know exactly what is the portion of the fish that you eat? What is the exact amount? So how do we know that your mom is supposed to charge you $1 or $2? And then I will continue by saying to them that, okay, so assuming that your mom cut the fish into 5 equal portions, and obviously it will be very easy. Each one of you will have to pay $2. Continue by giving the example that what if one of you eat a little bit more than the other one? Then how are you supposed to do that? And because it's something that relating to their daily life, and a student can easily participate in this kind of discussion. Another example, when you want to talk about how to calculate the cost of a product. When we first started talking about cost of a product, many of us will go straight into, okay, the cost of a product, it will be direct material, direct labor, overhead cost, right? And a lot of students will be like, oh, why, what are those things? So what I actually do in my class is that I will give an example. I will say, for example, I say your parents wanted to find out how much money they have spent on you since you were born. Then students will start talking about, the parents pay for insurance, education fees, tuition fees, piano lesson, textbooks, and so on and so forth. So from there, they know that, okay, these are the costs incurred by this particular individual. So then we tie it to the cost. Okay, then we start thinking about the cost of making a product.
Yes, definitely makes a lot of sense, your approach in making sure they can resonate, asking non-textbooks question, as I can hear more things that is they can relate to is very important. So you have always been adopting that approach. So let me come back. There are a lot of good questions coming in. I cannot cope with it already. But one of these I can recognize, I think it's from Dr. Tan, SP. Do you measure teamwork, which I assume you are also developing your students through team-based learning? If so,
yes, we do.
How do you do that? Yeah.
We do measure teamwork. We have 2 teamwork components, okay, team assessment. One is actually seminar activities, and the other one is the project. So consistently throughout the whole semester, the students are in the same group, okay? So for the seminar activities, meaning, when we do the team-based learning, when we assign the case question or problems that the students are supposed to work together. Now, I don't penalize them if they give wrong answer, because the main purpose is to encourage them to be engaged and to learn. So I have to emphasize the fact that I tell them, you do your best, try to give reason, support your own idea why you do this, why you think the answer is A and not B, give some valid reason. That's how we help them to develop critical thinking. So even though the answer may be wrong, then you as instructor, you need to guide them accordingly, ask them more questions to direct them in their thinking process, so that they will be able to find the answer on their own. Okay. So the team-based learning, the rubrics that we use is more about peer evaluations from their own peers within the group, whether they feel that this particular student is contributing to the group seminar activities or group discussion. Okay, and when I am, moving around to observe them, and then I will give marks for their team discussions as well. So which is purely based on my own observation. Obviously, we have a rubrics that we refer to. And we will use the peer evaluation to calculate the individual marks that the students is supposed to get for this group assessment. So if they get like more than 80% of average rating from their peers, then they get the full mark for the team assessment. And if they get less than 80%, I think if I remember correctly, is if they get between, let's say, 70 to 80% of for their peer rating, then they only get 80% of the group assessment.
So sounds like there's definitely a lot of work that you have prepped, not just the questioning, soliciting the students, provoking the students. You have also put in a lot of effort in the assessment aspect of the students. So I have the next question is related to this. This is from Eng Po. Since you're moving your teaching online, would you be revamping your assessment? Would you still be having the usual final written exam? So he's very curious about your assessment.
Oh, we still have a written exam, but it's online. Everything is online. So because of the accreditation requirement, because this particular course, right, is we get credit for the ICAEW and also some other professional bodies. Okay, so we cannot just have a take-home exam, a take-home assignment, you see. So we still have to do a test, but we move it online. So for us at Nanyang Business School, we have already conducted online exam last semester. So we make use of Zoom as a monitoring device. So the students are supposed to use Zoom to show us their working environment, and we have online invigilators who are monitoring the students. So a lot of work, but it is we are very blessed in the sense that a lot of our Nanyang Business School colleagues are very cooperative. Everybody chip in to help out, even though staff from non-accounting division, they help us as well with the invigilation. So, thank God that we have very, very wonderful colleagues.
Definitely, this is challenging. Getting the students to use their phone as a CCTV to monitor them.
Yeah, and we also run a mock. We run a mock exam before that, just so that students are familiar with the online exam environment.
You're absolutely right. The idea to conduct a mock before the actual is critical, so that the students have experienced similar conditions. Because this is a never before experience, unless we're going to have this online assessment for the next year.
I mean, new for both students and the instructors.
Yes, definitely a new norm. Yes, let me quickly. There's another question from Mel Fei. She's from another discipline. She said that I'm in pure sciences, and laboratory class is a skill course. I have tried virtual laboratory and make them answer worksheets on their own. They turn in good worksheets theoretically, but I have no way of checking on their skill. So I'm not really sure if it's applicable because it's a different discipline. But I mean, anyway, tap on your experience to see whether you can help her in this question.
I think we got to have a bit of faith on our students here. I mean, if it's not my field, obviously in my field we don't have a laboratories per se. I think one way to make sure that they actually learn is that you can always have a small mini test. I mean, it's not necessary that it must be a formal assessment. You know, like for example, I have online quiz in class, and the students, they do this online quiz as a team. Even though it's not a formal assessment, but the students like it, you know, they enjoy it when I flash on the screen, oh, this is the winning team, 1, 2, 3, you know, and actually they are really competitive. So perhaps you can do something like that, you know, run a small quiz to test their understanding, and that's probably will get them engaged as well. I mean, for me, in my class, the students enjoy the online quiz. You know, they love to compete with one another, and sometimes they whisper the wrong answer. So, you know, make it loud enough for the other team to hear them.
That's good. That's good. So please allow me to quickly move. There's just too many questions remaining. Hi, Michelle. This is from Wai Ling. Can you provide more details on project-based learning for students? What is the project like? How are the students assessed? Does this project take place over a period of time? Oh, that's about 3 questions in there.
This project is actually for the one whole semester. So our semester is 13 weeks, right? And so week 1 and week 2, obviously, is just the beginning. It's impossible for them to start working on the project yet. But week 1 and week 2, they started exploring the idea about what they want to do. Now, so it depends on the topics that we give them. Every semester, we tweak the questions, the project a little bit, but more or less, right, they have to apply knowledge and concepts that they have learned, not just in management accounting, but also other courses in the business discipline, okay, as a whole. So as I mentioned just now, the last semester, we have this project about running a new business. So the students are supposed to look into what are the costs that they need to calculate, what are the costs they may incur if they want to start a new business, you know. So that's very much the accounting, relating to accounting and management accounting concept. But at the same time, they also have to think about why they want to start this business. And then they have to analyze the market, which is something they pick up from the marketing course, right? Yeah. So and 2 semesters ago, we have a project about the students are supposed to run, help a non-profit organization to run a fundraising event. So once again, in the fundraising event, they will have to plan, right? What are the schedule, the manpower, you know, the venue, where the cost, you know, incur in getting all these people and materials or venue and whatnot, right? So it's always linked back to management accounting in the sense that they have to calculate the cost. So the cost can be the cost of running a business, the cost of running a fundraising event. In the past, we also give a project about, we ask them to look for videos online, a manufacturing firm, and then they will have to look at the production process of that manufacturing firm to think about what are the materials incur in making that particular product. So let's say, for example, some of them will be looking at the cost of making cookies, you know, or cakes or some other thing. And then they have to start thinking about, okay, so to make cookies, we need this amount of flour and sugars and whatnot, and they will have to go to the market to find out what is the cost of sugar per gram or per kilogram and so on and so forth, what type of machinery or equipment that they need to use, or how many workers they need to hire. So it's always linked back to like the real life scenario. So every time it's slightly different, but more or less, again, as I say, it's always come back to they have to calculate the cost, you know, which is the main thing for management accounting.
Mm, definitely. I mean, those online today, you are really learning. There's a lot of good lesson ideas here, especially those who are teaching accounting today. So, I got a question from Jonathan, Jonathan Hugo, asking, do you have all groups present their solution to the whole class, or does each group have the same, or does each group have the same case study, or do they each have a different one? Do you find that group A wants to listen to group B, etc.? Yeah.
We only assign one case question, so all the
Okay.
students will be working in their own team.
Mm,
So there will be about 4 or 5 students in a team, and in our seminar group, we normally have about 40 to 50 students. So we will have about 8, 9, or 10 groups, depending on the size of that particular seminar. And so one team will present the solution. And when the team presents the solution, the other students, obviously, they will have to compare what the team presented with what they have, their own solutions. And then they will like, oh, I disagree with the answer, or why do you do it this way and not the other way, or why did you ignore this particular cost item, yeah, so for me, I'm mainly the facilitator. And
mm.
I don't give them the answer. I never give them the answer.
I can visualize your class is a very noisy one.
Yes, it is.
And that's really good. It's actually constructive noise. Yes, I once heard from a very well-known educator saying if a class is quiet, it's suspicious. Something is not going on, not learning. Let me quickly squeeze in as many questions as I can. There's this question from Noren. Noren asks, using online flip learning, how do you ensure all students are at least attaining the minimum understanding of that particular topic? How do you do that? Yeah.
Okay, I think I mentioned just now that we have 2 sets of online questions. One set is before the class, and another set is after the class. So the one before the class is actually very simple fundamental questions. I'm not selling advertisement for McGraw-Hill here, okay? But
Don't worry.
I do make use
didn't.
of I make use of Learn Smart. So I make use of Learn Smart, and the students are supposed to go through the Learn Smart question before they come to the class. So, in an online learning environment, it's the same as a physical class environment. You have to assign these simple testing, basic concept, technical knowledge kind of question before they come to the class, just to test that, okay, they at least have watched the video or they have read the textbook and they are able to answer these basic questions. So at least before they come to the class, they need to know what is a cost, right? What is direct material? What is direct labor, for example? So in the class or in the online classroom, you go through the questions with them, right? You go through a case question or you go through some kind of problems with them. So at the end of the class, we have another set of questions. We call them the self-practice questions. And these self-practice questions are more difficult and challenging kind of problem-solving questions. So students have to work on those questions. Now, for me as an instructor, what I need to do is I just go online and see, okay, who have done the work and who hasn't done the work, right? And even though it is not graded, but I still assign score to this online homework on Learn Smart as well as on the self-practice question. So from there, you can see, okay, some students didn't do the work, or there are some students that will try it 2 times, 3 times and still not getting it. So when you see that, the next class, when you cover the new topic, at the same time, you have to link it back to the topic before, highlight a few of the issues that you have identified when you look at their performance online.
Definitely. I think there's a lot of factors that you have considered That's why to share with the audience, yeah, because Learn Smart applies basic conceptual practice for the students.
Correct.
So that's why students can take ownership of that rather than waiting for instructors to teach me basic concepts. Students at the tertiary education should take ownership of learning basic concepts. I think the learning science works very well in the self-directed, and it has and allow Michelle to be able to track their progress. It becomes measurable as a result.
So
Yeah,
I
and
think
then you
it's
can.
a very important part. It's actually to make the students accountable, be responsible for their own learning.
Yes, I think that is critical. I think something that we should pick up and learn from you. I think accountability for the pre-class flip part of the learning, and I heard you rewarding them. Well, you actually reward them by for that work. How do you reward them? Yeah.
Well, many different ways. Like because this work, some of them because you just want them to do the work. So it is not like a formal assessment per se. Okay. So for students that who have done the work, and I noticed that they have consistently do the work, so sometime in the class or even I'll send them an email, oh, good job, you have done all the homework on time, like, give them a bit of a pat on the shoulder or praise them a little bit. And I do kind of like I think building a rapport with the student is very important as well. It's important to build that personal kind of relationship and rapport. So sometimes I just walk over and I just whisper to them, oh, I just checked on your online homework the other day, and I noticed that you have done this question 5 times. Are you having some kind of issue or problem? So they actually appreciate that. Some students naturally they are just quite shy to ask, and once you take that initial step to approach them, then they will come to you next time.
Definitely can tell that you are making decision using data, and that's really what educators should do. I have a question from TK Chu. Allow me to quickly do this. During the group discussion research time, do you face problems with selective students not being engaged? As other group members, they may be friends. So who took the lead, get the task completed for the group? How do you overcome the issue? I don't know if you can get this question. Yeah.
Actually, I told the students that when a group come to the front to present their so-called suggested solutions, right? The whole team have to come to the front, not just one person. Okay, so the whole team have to come to the front, and they're supposed to answer a question from me or from other students in the class. Obviously, at times you do have 1 or 2 free riders, but the free riders, if they do that throughout the whole semester, definitely they will be penalized because we have a peer evaluation rating. The peer evaluations will affect their group assessment. That's number one. Secondly, for us as instructor, we have to be a bit more sensitive to the students. When you walk around the class, you observe them, you will pick up on 1 or 2 students who are extremely quiet. They hardly say anything. So this is the time that you as an instructor, you will have to get to know the student. For example, I will just walk to the student and say, can I talk to you for a bit, at the end of the class? Then you take the initiative to find out, are you having problem following up with the, follow the class? Is there anything that I can help you, even though at Nanyang Business School, attendance is not compulsory, but I do mark attendance because this is a good way to get to know the students. And when I notice that, okay, 1 or 2 students are, not kind of disappear, right? I will email them. I will email them. I'll say that, I noticed that you missed, the last 2 weeks of classes. Are you okay? Is there anything that I can help you? So you offer your help to them. And after that, they know that you are paying attention, and then they will, they will have to turn up, right?
Yeah. You definitely show that you care, definitely. Sorry, I'm overstretching your time, but there's another very good question, not relating to teaching and learning, I think more on change management. You mentioned earlier on as a prerequisite that you need to get your boss on board. Do you think it will not be advisable to proceed with my own course if the department as a whole isn't supportive of the flip approach? That's from Zoo.
I guess it's really depending on the structure of your school or your university, right? For example, in MBS, we have team teaching. So I'm not the only one teaching the course. So I may be the course coordinator. I do have a few other instructors working together with me. So when I first started thinking about doing this flip thing, I actually have to talk to my team of instructor and basically ask them, oh, what do you think if we start doing this? My advice is that don't do it like 180-degree change. Do it slowly, phase by phase. Like you have a phase 1. Okay, I change this part first, then phase 2 and phase 3. Now, obviously, if you have the support of your boss or your teaching team members, it will be a lot easier. If not, it's going to be really, really hard. With the support of your boss, of course, you can also ask for support in terms of, if you want to spend money on some kind of technological tools that you need to use, right? So it will be better to have your boss support, isn't it, right?
Yes. You will need the budget.
Yes, correct. You need the budget. So your team members, they are even more important. Now, once again, I am really, really very, very lucky. As I say, I have wonderful teaching teams. People that I work with, they are really, really great. And then we always have what we call a meeting before the start of every semester. My teaching team will come together and then we will discuss, okay, what are the things that we have to look into this semester? Okay, remember to do this, this, and that. And then at the end of the semester, we also have another team meeting and try to have kind of like a closures and talk about what are the problems or issues that we face in that particular semester.
Definitely. Sorry, I've stretched so much of your time. Today we have record number of questions that cannot finish. Maybe I put in one last question that's more open-ended to close this. He asked, I'm not sure Flip will develop self-directed learners. Argument is we are still directing them in a way by defining they complete certain tasks by a certain time before the pre-team-based learning quiz. What is your take on that?
Well, I think that it takes time for people to become self-directed learners, right? I mean, for example, when we were students, right, we always wait for our teachers to tell us what to do. But think about it today, as we grow older and over times, right? We actually, I give the example that, we go on to Google, to YouTube to learn to do something, right? Because we wanted to know. So I personally, I have the habits of when I see something that I do not know, I straight away, I Google search or I go to YouTube, to look for an answer. If I want to, like, for example, I want to buy a new laptop, I'm not sure which one, right? So I'll just Google search, okay, the top 10 laptop, for home use, something like that. I think students is the same thing. No one, I don't think we are not naturally born with something at times, and it needs time to kind of build and cultivate that. The example that I give you earlier on, for example, about the students who are very shy, who won't even open the mouth to ask questions, we have to create an environment, a safe environment in such a way that will encourage them to want to speak up. It takes time to pick up that skill. Now, you may not believe me now that when I share this with you. I mean, can you believe that when I was a student, I was actually one of those very, very quiet students.
I can't tell. I can't tell.
I was very, very quiet student when I was in uni, right? But over time, because of this environment that we were in, we somehow built up that ability and that confidence to speak up and to start learning something on our own, right?
Thank you so much, Michelle. Today we have exceeded a time that we wanted. I probably need to organize another webinar for you to answer all the questions. Today we have really record breaking. So sorry everyone online, we can't answer most of the questions. There are really good questions so far, and there are many more that I could not call out. Yeah, but definitely we probably like to invite Michelle back if her schedule permits to answer the rest of your questions. So thank you so much, Michelle.
Well, anyhow, I mean, if you really have a question that is really burning inside you that you want to know, email me at NTU.
Yes, I think I will download all the questions and see if there are any interesting ones that you would like to. We will help to facilitate address them. Yes. So,
Thank you very much.
Michelle, any final words before we close this?
Well, I just want to encourage those of you who kind of like, oh, I want to do it, I don't want to do it, To me, just go for it, try it, and at least at the end of the day, even though it fails, at least you can say that, okay, I have tried it, I have tried my best to do it, but it didn't work. That's fine. But if you are just going to, give up with them without even giving it a try, and then, maybe after that, you probably regretted that, oh, why I didn't do it, right? So have the courage, take the challenge to do it. And I think that you need to look for someone who is willing to walk with you along this journey. And as I say, I am very, very lucky to have my team member, very good team members in my teaching teams, to work together with me. Yeah.
Thank you so much, Michelle, for the encouragement. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yes. So now I shall invite Lena back to close this webinar. We still have a poll to answer and to share with you what's going to happen next. Michelle, thank you. You Yeah, thank you so much. Lena, please.
Hi, thanks a lot, Michelle and Jasmine, for the very interesting presentation and a very interactive Q&A sessions. So right now, we're going to conduct a quick poll. You can refer to the poll direct box. It should appear automatically on your screen. Please do help us out by filling this out. Your feedback is definitely very important for us as we move along in this series. So as you are filling out the poll, I just wanted to give a quick heads out. We are still conducting a few more webinars. Do follow us on our social or go to mcGrwhill website. You'll be able to see it. But the next one up is we're going to talk about AI in education. And this is going to be jointly conducted by Jasmine. So he's no longer a facilitator. He will be one of our presenters coming, and together with Kristen, who is actually from Stanford International University, the assistant dean. So they're going to talk about AI in education. How do you personalize for your student and being flexible in your approach? So do keep a lookout on our social media, or take a look at our website, which I will just share the link here. You can just scan this QR code and check out the website link, mcgrwhill.com.sg/webinars, so that you can see all the upcoming webinars that is coming. So don't miss out the upcoming webinar that we have, AI in education. I think this is a very interesting topic and something that is very relevant in today's world. So do follow us and stay tuned for the webinar that is coming out soon. So for all of you who has joined us today, thank you very much. We really hope that this session has been very meaningful to you, and we will continue to keep this going. So stay safe and thank you for joining us again today. So we'll give another 1 or 2 minutes for the poll to be online. Submit your feedback. And after that, we will close these sessions and do check out the websites. Let me just make sure I'm not covering the QR code. So do scan this QR code to visit our website, mcgrwhill.com.sg/webinars, so that you can actually take a look at the webinars that we have conducted for the past few series, and look out for the upcoming one, AI in education, right?
Once again, thank you everyone for joining us this afternoon. We are very thankful to Dr. Michelle Pang, who has spent this afternoon to share with you her experience, her passion, her positive mindset towards flipping team-based learning towards the use of technology. Hope to see you again, where we're going to invite Christian to come to share how he has already implemented and benefited the use of artificial intelligence in assessment and learning in his courses at the business school. So please look out for our invite, where we're going to post very shortly. Yeah.
Okay.
So see you again.
Yes, so we have closed the poll. So thank you everyone for joining us today and filling out our poll. And as to what Jasmine has said, look out for our communications. The next one is going to be very interesting, AI in education. How do you do it? And how can mcgrwhill help you to do it? So we'll see you soon. In the meantime, stay safe and thank you for joining us again. Thank you very much.
Bye bye.
Bye bye.
Take care.
Michelle.